Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to One Piece, episode 1014. So we are finally back after numerous weeks of being off from the series due to the hacking at Toei. We can finally get back on track with another new episode. Now, to my knowledge, it's never been officially stated what happened, and I don't think it ever really will be. There's all these theories on why Toei was hacked and who did it and all of that, and nothing's given any real substantial proof. So it's just kind of up in the air. The popular theory I've seen going around is that someone did it to give the animators and stuff, especially on One Piece, a break because of like overworking and stuff. But again, no actual evidence of this. So it's all just kind of baseless. But in the end, the fact is, it is back. We are back with more One Piece, and Toei is back with all of its shows. So, what next? Well, we're just going to continue as normal. We finished Villainous, though I still actually have to get to the specials. The shorts or whatever. But we have finished the overall series. Excuse me, I kind of just woke up, so. But yeah, so we'll be getting back to this and kind of hoping for the best. Now, last time, from what I remember, Kaido had been making Onigashima float, and just the battles were kind of continuing. Certain battles were getting started, other battles were finishing up. It was kind of moving on to the next stage of this war. We had like Jinbei start to get into battle with Who's Who, for example. Sanji is captured by Black Maria. All kinds of stuff going on. Luffy's still trying to just get to the top. Now, I know nothing about what's going to happen in this episode, but I have seen a screenshot that has been shared around on Twitter. It doesn't tell you anything, though, luckily. Because all it does is show Yamato. And it's like, oh boy, Yamato's in this episode. I would have never expected that. Let's be honest. Yamato's a major player in this act of the arc, and probably just the arc going forward. It's not going to be a surprise if we know he's going to be in an episode. And the screenshot didn't really tell you anything either. It just showed him kind of smiling. That's really it. It didn't give any context clues or anything in the background. So, I'm definitely excited for that. To see Yamato again anyways. Just because, you know, he is one of my favorite characters. But I made a video on this, and I'll just briefly touch on it here. I'm not going to go into details for obvious reasons, but I made a video talking about the issues with fan communities and spoilers. because I was spoiled on something that happened in one of the more recent chapters of the manga that is literally game changing for this series. It completely like changes everything, and it's a big deal. And I really wish I hadn't been spoiled on it. I don't know every detail surrounding it, luckily. And any of you who might follow the manga or might have heard about it on social media as well might know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say here, and please, even in the comments, do not say anything about it, just in case. I don't want to end up seeing anything that I don't know, just generally know, and I don't want anyone else seeing anything if they don't want to be spoiled. So, yeah. But yeah, the One Piece community has always been pretty bad at keeping things under wraps. It's like anytime a new episode happens, they have to go to like Twitter and stuff like right away to talk about it. Fan pages will like be posting stuff almost right away. And it's annoying. And it's not just One Piece fans, it's fan communities in general. A lot of communities do this. And it's annoying because some people, we like to go into these episodes blind, and we like to go into them as spoiler free as possible. And even some people who read the manga don't want to be spoiled before they get to each chapter, and sometimes aren't able to get to the chapter right away. So it's just inconsiderate and rude for these people to be doing this. And I really hate it. I did just want to touch on that because that happened since the last time we did a reaction to this. So I want to bring it up real quick. Obviously not go into details, but yeah. Hopefully I can avoid all major spoilers continuing forward. But we'll see. In the meantime, we're just going to get this started, see what this episode has in store, and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, let's talk about that at the end there before we get into anything else. The mythical fish fruit. This is something I knew about. It's another thing I was spoiled about, but this I don't consider as major of a spoiler as the other thing I talked about in the pre-thoughts. But it's still something I kind of would have liked to be surprised on a little bit. But it's not as big a deal, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, Kaido's devil fruit is not just a dragon, like, by all accounts. I don't know the full details of this. I just know that this is the case, that is what his devil fruit is. I don't know how it all works. I don't know all the details, but basically the way I view it is he's like Gyarados from Pokemon. Like dragon, but also fish. Maybe they'll explain it more and it'll start to make more sense, but again, like I said, all I knew is that it was a thing. I don't even know like the full name of it exactly. I just know it is like a fish fruit. So I am curious. I am curious, like, what the specifics are and why he's this like classic Chinese dragon with like fire breath and stuff. If he's a if it's a fish fruit. Like, how does that become that? I am curious. I assume Oda will explain that. Might have already done so in the manga, so might be coming up. Um, so this episode had a lot of flashbacks to it. Um, we got to see more of Ace and him trying to fulfill his promises to both Yamato and Otama, and being unable to do so before his death. And it's really sad, but at the same time, hope has still returned to Wano. And Otama now knows that Luffy and Ace are brothers, and she feels terrible about what she said to Luffy about it, but Nami and Usopp are just reassuring her. It's like, no, it's okay. He understood. We even got a flashback to Alabasta in there, just in relation to the kinds of things Luffy says. But we got to also see it from Marco's perspective and see how it just shows how much he misses Ace, and how now that all of them are there fighting for Wano, that they're basically accomplishing Ace's final wish, his final goal that he personally had. And that alone is enough to make Marco tear up. The fact that they're able to do what Ace wanted to do and liberate Wano it's emotional for him, and fair enough. Now we also get to see Marco helping Zoro get to the top. We get to see him take on King and Queen. Also, we get to see more of like Queen's brachiosaur form, including the extended neck and everything, which I don't understand how it works. I don't get that. It's like the devil fruit turns him into a brachiosaur. How does his neck extend like that? That makes no sense for a Zoan-type devil fruit. Although, Zoan-type devil fruits usually have different forms. But it's usually like a human form, a full animal form, and then a hybrid. So, unless there's like some kind of crazy experimentation that Queen had done on himself, I don't see how like he has these machine guns in his throat, can pull apart his neck like that. I hope that's explained, honestly, because it honestly makes no sense. It really doesn't. And we also get a little bit of Kaido and Big Mom arguing, but kind of making up. And it's like this is clearly a very volatile alliance. Big Mom wants Robin kept alive because she doesn't think Pudding will be awakened in time to be able to read the information they need, and Robin's the only other one who could. And just stuff like that. They argue over like, oh, what's going to happen next and everything, and Big Mom like seeing him as a little brother, stuff like that, just stupid stuff. But it's clear that they're still getting way too cocky. Now, granted, their cockiness has some kind of backing to it. These two are two of the strongest in the world, just undeniably. They're Yonkos for a reason. So they can back up their cockiness. But at the same time, we know they're going to lose. Like, that's blatantly obvious. We know they're going to lose. So the question more comes to How? How is Luffy and the crew going to eventually defeat them? With all their allies at hand as well, of course. But how is it going to happen? What's going to cause it? Who's going to defeat who? Is Luffy going to have to defeat both Big Mom and Kaido? It's a legitimate question, I feel. But I'm definitely very excited to find out, obviously, per usual. But yeah, these two are definitely two of the legitimately scariest villains in this series. Like, I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not. I don't know if a lot of people agree with that, but like, the villains of the post time skip have been next level. Basically, the big three, Doflamingo, Big Mom, and Kaido, are just honestly the three best villains in this. Like, yeah, in terms of just pure hateability, Arlong would definitely, and even Horty Jones, both of them would top the list, just because they're more actively hateable. Though Kaido is up there too, to be fair. But at the same time, just in terms of overall presence, power, just character, depth and development and everything, just based on everything, Kaido, Doflamingo, and Big Mom are definitely the top of the list as the best and even scariest villains. They are legitimately terrifying in terms of their power and just the kind of shit they've done. So it's like, I really appreciate that post time skip, Oda decided, you know what, we're going to kick things up not only a notch, but like an entire other league. We're going to like just break all the boundaries and make everything about the villains, the arcs, the overarching plot points, and the continuing story of this arc, or of this half of the series. We're just going to make it as grandiose as possible. We're going to put every bit of effort into it, into making it feel like this massive deal, more than anything else in the series has. Even Marineford didn't have this kind of hype behind it. And I know that might be an unpopular opinion, because a lot of people really still look fondly on Marineford, and I do too. But in my opinion, even the scope and magnitude of the War of the Best, it doesn't hold a candle to the scope and magnitude of post-time skip One Piece. Basically, everything from Punk Hazard to current has been almost entirely interconnected. It's been one interconnected story that has just progressed. And yeah, there are some little bumps in it that are their own things, but everything just meshes together. And everything continuously builds upon itself, each arc. It's kind of amazing how interconnected it is. Because compare it to the pre-time skip, almost every arc, while yeah, there were some interconnected things to them, almost every arc was very separated. There were a couple examples of a couple arcs that did connect a little more, such as within the Alabasta saga or the Skypiea saga. But for the most part, each arc was kind of its own separate thing. And every island they went to was kind of its own separate thing and didn't really connect. Like, Water 7 / Enies Lobby didn't connect with mind is blanking. I keep wanting to say Punk Hazard again, but I know that's not right. Thriller Bark. It didn't connect with Thriller Bark at all. Thriller Bark didn't connect with Shabandi at all. Shabandi didn't connect with Amazon Lily really at all. The only way Shabandi connected with Amazon Lily is because that's where Luffy went after being pawed away by Kuma on Shabandi. That's the only connection there. The actual events of the arcs, though, really otherwise didn't connect. Marineford brought everything together, but that was more in terms of the characters and the developments in regarding to that. But yeah, pre-time skip, it was mostly all separated. It's like, oh, we're going to go from this island to this island, and they're going to be their own separate adventures. They might have a couple characters in common outside of the Straw Hats, or maybe there will be a couple little things that are mentioned here and there, but otherwise they're going to be their own separate things. But then you have the post-time skip, and pretty much everything after the Fishman Island, again, Punk Hazard to Current, everything has been interconnected. Like, yeah, you could kind of say their own separate stories each time, but those feel added in to the arcs comparatively. Those don't feel like what the arc is about, like Punk Hazard. You don't feel like the arc is entirely about the kids. Like, yeah, that's a big plot point and everything, with the kids there and everything, but pretty much everything else about the arc connects to Doflamingo, and even to Kaido to a lesser degree. And then you get to Dressrosa, and that's heavily connecting to Kaido, and even Zoe, to a lesser degree. It's a lot of it is explaining how everything with this is going to affect Kaido, and even Dofi at points says, like, if you wanted to take me down, you could have just like done this and this, and Kaido would have killed me. But instead, you just kind of went away from that plan. And it's like it still feels like, yeah, this is building up to Kaido by delivering on the buildup that happened with Punk Hazard. And then you go to Zoe, and that starts setting up heavily for Wano. And also sets up for Whole Cake, while coming off of the setup for from Dressrosa. And then from Zoe, you go to Whole Cake, which follows up on the setup once again, and sets up even more for Wano. But yeah, all of them do have their own separate stories as well, of course, because they have to make Oda has to make each island feel like its own place. There's a lot on Dressrosa that doesn't really affect things with, like, Wano and stuff. The Straw Hat Grand Fleet, Corda Coliseum, the Birdcage, all of that is kind of its own separate thing. The toys. And with Whole Cake Island, you of course have the Jerema 66 stuff. You have Sanji and Pudding's wedding, as well as Sanji just betraying the Straw Hats in the first place. But there's a lot that still is connected. And with Wano, there's a lot that is specifically stuff for Wano. The flashbacks with Odin, and even the ones with Roger and Whitebeard, though those ones obviously are just capturing on characters that we had already known and had been set up for a while. And just a lot of stuff with that. You get a lot of stuff in Wano that is, yeah, specifically Wano related stuff, but then you see how it connects. Like, you find out even, like, stuff like characters that are Wano specific characters, like Kiku. It's like, oh, by the way, Kiku is related to one of the commanders of the Whitebeard Pirates. Remember Izo from Marineford? Oh yeah, he's Kiku's brother. And it's just like, oh, okay. It's connecting things even when you don't think it is. And again, it just feels like one long story in a way. Even though each island has its own things going on, its own socio-political climates and stuff, it still feels like it's one interconnected story rather than just a bunch of little ones. And I like that. I like that it feels different post time skip, that it feels grander, that it's a bigger deal. I think that's necessary. And that's going to tie in when we eventually do get to Elbaf. And when we meet Shanks. And this final war that's been built up by Oda that's going to be even bigger than Marineford. And of course, when we even find the One Piece itself on Laugh Tale. It's all kind of interconnecting with each other. So we'll see how it continues to go in that regard. But yeah, otherwise this episode didn't do too much else. It's again just continued a lot of the fights that were already started, and a lot of the plot points in general. Not really much else changed or happened in this. There were some characters we still didn't get caught up with again, like Carrot and Wanda. We didn't see Sanji again. We didn't see Jinbei again. Stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, like I've said before, with as many fights and plot points and stuff going on currently in this arc, you can't touch on everybody at once. You have to pick and choose for each, in Oda's case, chapter. But for the anime, for each episode. It kind of just has to go back and forth. We'll eventually get back to Carrot and Wanda. We'll eventually get back to all of these other characters and all this other stuff going on. We'll get to more of Jinbei versus Who's Who. And so on and so forth. But for now, we just focused on a certain few. And for what we did focus on this episode, it was great. I really enjoyed it. We even got a little bit of Blackbeard in one of the flashbacks, showing that he finds the idea of fighting and everything and trying to, conquer something and take someone down for the sake of holding a promise. He sees that as stupid. He sees the only reason to want to take someone down is to, make yourself more notable. And you can very much see, like, the Blackbeard in Marshall D. Teach at that point in time. But we also actually get to see that Yamato seems to know about the Will of D, at least to a degree. Which, again, we know that Odin knew about that, so it might just be in Odin's journal and Yamato knows. I doubt Luffy will want to know about it necessarily. I don't think Luffy does even know about the Will of D, does he? I don't think he ever really found out that that's a thing. I might be wrong. Because I think when everybody talks about it, it's other characters talking about it without him necessarily being part of the conversation at all. I don't know. But either way, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of One Piece? And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.